We are going to temper using the ice water method. So we have a bowl here with ice. It doesn't have to be a lot of ice, as long you just want the water to be really cold. And remember that water and chocolate, they don't get along. So just be very careful when you use this method that you do not contaminate your chocolate. So this is why I usually don't use this, and I don't recommend it to students, because when you don't know a lot about chocolate and you are not paying attention, by accident you get a drop of this water in your chocolate and you don't even notice, and then your chocolate never works, and it's because it's contaminated. It's not because you're not tempering well. So I have my bowl in here, and all these methods, if you analyze the way they are done, they are following the same process in a different way. When we did the tabling, we were cooling it on the table. We're just going to cool the chocolate now using the ice. So the table part is going to be the bowl itself. When you put it here in the water and you stir, this stirring and scraping the bowl in the bottom is the table part, but you're doing it right in the bowl. So my chocolate was melted. Probably the chocolate was 110, 115, 120, 100. That's really not important. Just one melted chocolate. And then here now I want to get this chocolate cool to 82, 81. The same we were doing with the tabling, but now we're doing the whole thing. And keep checking with your thermometer. Okay, it's 100. Just make sure that when you go here, because the water is really cold, don't stay there for too long. Just go there for 5 seconds, raise the bowl and stir, because the sides of the bowl inside are going to get really hard. So you want to mix, you don't want a lumpy mass here. You want this to be nice and fluid. Put it there, cool it down, stir. It's 97. So all this manipulation with the chocolate is just to ensure that we end up with the right stable crystal, and you end up with a perfect tempered chocolate where you can do garnishes, you can mold things, you can do bonbons, and they will all stay for a long time and not getting stained or bloom. Now this is 90. With the ice water, it cools down really fast, so you have to just be careful that it doesn't get lumpy. You just submerge and take it out and stir. And that's something I didn't mention that is really important. There are 3 factors when you are tempering chocolate. It's the stirring, time, because you have to try to do it as fast as you can, and temperature. So I call it the AT&T factor. So it's agitation, because you always have to stir, because you're trying to mix all the crystals here. Agitation, temperature, because you are trying to cool it down. It's about temperature. And time, because you don't want to take too long to do this. Now this is 88. And the same process I'm doing here with dark, I do with white and milk. The difference is the working range. That's the only difference. You melt your chocolate, you melt your milk, you melt your white, you cool it down if you're using this method to the low 80s. And I'm always talking Fahrenheit here. And then you warm it up to the working range. And you might ask, so why cooling it so low if you have to warm it up again? just remember, all these crystals, this is really one crystal that have 6 different transformations. So you need to create these ones in order to get to the right crystal, because it's the same crystal with different characteristics. That's it. Okay, so this is really close to the low 80s. 84. Just tiny little bit more. Okay, this is 82. So very carefully I take my water out, get it away from here so I don't contaminate. Make sure my table is clean. Make sure your bowl is dry in the bottom, really important. And I'm going to check. So it's 82. So now I need to rewarm it to the working range. I'm doing dark chocolate, so the working range is 86 to 91. So I'm going to rewarm it here. And you have to be careful, because now that you've been doing the tempering, you get to your working range and you go over 91, then you're going to have to cool it down again. So try to not go over 90. That way you know you're going to have good tempered chocolate in your hand. So I'm rewarming it, and then I'll do a test like I did with the tabling, and I'll show you again. And then the next method is going to be the seeding, which is my favorite and is the fastest, and you'll see why. And actually the seeding is also the best way of tempering chocolate, and I'll explain why. There is this, I want to show you here on the board, this graphic, right? Your chocolate starts from the box at room temperature, which should be like 68 or 65 to 68, and then you are melting your chocolate. Now let's say that is, you melt to 115. Just remember that this number is not that important. It could be 100, it could be 110, 115, 120, 122. And as a matter of fact, every company, every chocolate would give you a graphic in the back, and they have different numbers. One company will tell you melt it to 122, another one will tell you to 120, another one will tell you to 130. In other words, this is really not that crucial. But then you cool it to the low 80s. Let's say 81. And this is where all your crystals are being formed. Once you get there, be that by tabling or ice, and then you have to rewarm it. Why do you have to rewarm? Because when it's this cold, you can't shape it into anything. It's too cold, it's too thick. So you want to make it fluid, so you can shape it into something. And then you rewarm to your working range. If it's dark, 86 to 91. If it's white or milk, 83 to 86. Now the seeding is going to be a little different, you'll see why. Okay, so this is, we're warming it right now, 85. And make sure you stir. So 86. Take it out. Make sure it's dry. Stir really well. And of course, I always have to make sure this is tempered. So again, I take my offset. It's telling me that it's 89. That is right in the range here. I'm going to do a test. Put it here. You see, nice, wet, and I'm going to put it on the side so it sets, and I'll show you later how it's perfectly tempered. Okay? So that was the ice water method. Remember, I will put these things here to wait. Look at the shine of this. This is perfectly tempered. You can see the setting is so pretty and even in color. It's like matte, perfect. Some people touch it. You don't need to touch it. If you touch it, you leave a smudge in there. If it takes 2 minutes to get here, you know it's tempered. If it takes more than 5 minutes, that means it's not tempered. So you have to stir a little more and test again.